Well, that was an entry in the series. Welcome back to some more reviews, guys. Welcome back to some more Hellraiser reviews. This is the last Hellraiser review. Part of me wants to say, yay, celebration time. And other part of me is like, at least I was able to go through and watch Hellraiser 1, which I think is a classic. Hellraiser 2, another classic. Hellraiser 3, my personal favorite, and yet again, in my opinion, a classic. Inferno, which surprised me. And the other ones were not so good to me. Not a big fan of Part 4, Hellseeker, Deader, Revelations, oh my god, Hellworld. Today we're going to be getting to the last and final Hellraiser movie. This is the last one. This is the last review until the other ones come out. There's more coming soon, apparently. Like, there's talks about a sequel being made. There's talks about a remake being made one day. There's talks about a prequel being made one day. And I got sent an article. I'm not sure if it was true or not, but apparently Clive Barker has bought back the rights to the Hellraiser series, which is really cool. I really hope that's a real thing. But that was sent to me. It was a news article. So take it how you see it. Not sure if it's true or not. Hope it is. Because to me, the Hellraiser series got to a point to where they were making them just for money. They weren't trying. They weren't putting in effort. And the thing with me in movies is I just want to see movies have effort put into them, to be different, to be unique, to be separate from the rest of the bunch. And most of the Hellraiser sequels became about the money. They became about just, we'll put Pinhead here and here, like twice in the movie, and we'll make it about something else and call it Hellraiser. To me, today's film we're talking about isn't a bad movie. This movie surprised me. This is Hellraiser Judgement. Now, Hellraiser Judgement is the 10th and so far as this recording date goes, final Hellraiser movie. Came out in 2018, gets a 4.3 IMDb. Written by Gary J. Tunnicliffe, who really isn't known that much for direction. He's only made a couple movies. And apparently he has worked on a lot of special effects, done a lot of other stuff. Like I said, not really known for direction. But I thought he did a great job directing this movie. And to give you guys kind of my early thoughts on the movie, I really enjoyed this movie. There are problems there. There are issues there. There's still the main issue of, I wish it was a little bit more Hellraiser. It feels more Hellraiser than, say, Part 7 or 8 or especially 9. This is way better than 9. It's not a perfect movie, but I did enjoy this movie. I thought it was a pretty good movie. Again, it has problems. It's not perfect by any means. It has a concept and a story that I thought could have been done. There could have been so much more done with this concept and this story. I wanted to see a lot more done with the main idea of the movie. And I love the fact that they introduced new lore into this movie. The new lore doesn't really make sense because why is it in this movie and not in any other Hellraiser movie? Unless this Hellraiser movie exists in a completely other realm of Hellraiser, it just doesn't make sense for a new lore. All these new Cenobites and demons kind of makes you go, well, why weren't they in the previous 9 movies? But I do like the idea of having new ideas, new lore, new demons, new feel. This movie definitely feels very unique to other Hellraiser movies, and it's a really bizarre entry in the series. This is one that really took me by surprise. I remember seeing the trailer for this movie. I honestly had no clue what I was going to get myself into. The trailer didn't look bad. I thought visually the movie and the trailer, it looked good. And to get into the story, it starts out with this man being brought to this house. He receives a letter to go to this address. He goes into the house and pretty much enters hell. He's in a weird dimension in hell, and he meets this demon there who interviews him, tells him, hey, tell me what you've done. And there's no point in lying because they basically already know what this man has done. And you find out this man's like a pedophile, piece of shit type character And he basically gets tortured in hell, and that's the way the movie opens. And I'll get into more of the details in a second, but it basically becomes a detective story. You have two brothers. One of them is a former veteran who's been through all kinds of gruesome stuff, and he's stressed. He's having marriage problems and stuff like that. And him and his brother are working on this case to find out about this killer. Now, this is once again another Hellraiser movie where it involves detectives and a serial killer. And once again, this movie does have a twist towards the end of the movie. This movie is a little bit newer, so I will say I'm going to spoil that, but I'll let you guys know because this is a little bit newer. But there is this killer. I want to get the name of the killer real quick, but I can't find the name of the killer right now. But they had a name for him. But basically, this serial killer is murdering people who are breaking the 10 Commandments. And interesting idea. I feel like that's been done before. I don't know if I know it's not 7. That's the 7. I think that's the 7 deadly sins or whatever. I haven't seen 7 in a while, but it's kind of similar to 7, but not really. It's not ripping it off, but kind of reminded me of 7, or kind of reminded me of. I know I've seen it before. Movies about either the 7 deadly sins or the commandments. I do like the idea though, and I do like the idea that you have a new, like I said, new lore to the story. It's not just people opening up boxes and being chained and going to hell. And again, I like how it's not a labyrinth like in Hellbound. And it makes me wonder if this is a new lore, like this is a new universe of Hellraiser, because there's no labyrinth. There's not as many Cenobites as there was in the previous Hellraiser movie. Most of them, except for Chatterer, are different. But I like the characters. They're okay characters. The acting, it's weird because the acting that began the movie, it starts out and the acting really isn't too great. I was groaning at the acting. It was like some of the line delivery, just some of the, I think it was the dialogue. Some of the dialogue that they had to read, the dialogue felt really stiff, and I was like, oh, this isn't a good sign. But it's one of those films that as it goes along, it gets better. The acting gets better. The performances get better. And I like the leads. I like the characters. They're not, great 5-star characters, but, they're decent characters. They're these detectives investigating these murders based on kind of like a biblical killer basing off of the 10 Commandments. And I like that story. Again, I don't know why it's trying to stray away from Hellraiser so much. Like, it doesn't. This movie, once again, it needed more Pinhead. Like, it needs more Hellraiser. It felt like, once again, they took a idea, and very similar to Inferno, because Inferno there was a killer, and there was a twist with that killer as well. Not the same twist, but it was just weird. You have another detective story, and you have another killer, and then you also have Pinhead in there. And Pinhead isn't really a prominent character in this movie. He's kind of a background character, at least until the third act. He kind of becomes more of a main character. He's really kind of a background character. But basically, they're investigating these murders. One of the detectives gets taken to hell, ends up escaping that version of hell, and Pinhead says pretty much, don't worry, he'll be back. And you think, Pinhead knows something about this guy that we don't know. And that's basically the story. Them trying to figure out who the killer is. There's gore. There's insanity. There's crazy shit going on in this movie. And I will admit this. This movie, the reason why I like it so much, I guess I can get into the positives. First of all, it has this really good look to it. It's filmed really well. It has this grainy, gritty, nasty look to it that I thought was a really good-looking atmosphere. I thought it was filmed well. It looked pretty good. I know it's low budget. I'm not sure if the same reasons were used to make this movie as Revelations, because Revelations, as you guys know, Revelations was made because they wanted to keep the rights to Hellraiser. Dimension did. Not sure if the same reasons apply to this movie. Not sure. Maybe. Because this is quite a bit after Revelations. But positives, like I said, it has a good look to it. It's directed well. It's a short movie. It doesn't really drag at all for me. Very fast-paced. The acting started out pretty dodgy. I think what it is the lines of dialogue. I think they need to be tweaked a little bit. Some really stiff dialogue in there in the beginning. But as the movie goes along, the acting gets better and better and better. And I think it gets to a point to where it's pretty passable. I think it's pretty good acting to a certain point in the movie. And the characters, they weren't one-dimensional. They weren't annoying. They were interesting characters with different little tweaks to their personalities. Okay, I like that. Another thing I really liked is the music. The music is probably one of the more unique Hellraiser soundtracks. It takes a more dark synth score. And I like that. It's a weird score, and the movie's tone is just strange. It's a mix between just outright insanity and strange, bizarre, and kind of creepy, kind of atmospheric, kind of scary. You know, it's not terrifying, but it has this uncomfortable nature to it that I thought was unique for being a Hellraiser movie. And it is a very unique Hellraiser movie. Like, this is one of those Hellraiser movies that even Hellraiser diehard fans are going to be like, either you're going to love this movie or you're going to hate it, because it's a very different approach to Hellraiser from the other movies. And I love how different it is. I like how they took risks. I like how they made a new lore. Basically, when you go to hell, there's this man who, I guess, pours the tears of children on these papers, which is basically all the sins of these people, and then he eats it, and then it's very bizarre, very weird. A lot of metaphorical stuff going on there. And I noticed that. It was like they were using metaphors, like physical metaphors, to represent certain things, to represent how the judgment process is done in this version of hell. And he like vomits it up, and these like naked females with missing parts of their faces, they, you know, pick up the vomit and they judge the person, and the person gets brought into this room, and they get, you know, their clothes ripped off, and then this person comes in and skins them alive. And that's a brutal practical effect. And basically you're either guilty or not guilty. And there's maybe this angel type character, more divine type. You're not really sure. She's a character that's like really new in the series, hasn't really been seen before, but she comes in and tells people, you know, whether they're guilty or not. So that's a new character, kind of like an angel, more divine character. The main interviewer character, I like this character. He has a really messed up face, but the delivery, the way the makeup looked, the dialogue, the character, very unique. And I'm sure that all of you are wondering, what about the new Pinhead? What about the guy who plays Pinhead in this movie? Now, in the last movie, Pinhead was played by somebody else. And I thought that Pinhead, the way he looked, the makeup, like they took 5 minutes to do the makeup, the dialogue, I thought felt so unlike Pinhead. Like, Pinhead would never say that dialogue. So the question is Paul T. Taylor a good Pinhead? I think he is. I think he's a great Pinhead. I don't think... I wouldn't say he's really bad. I think he's a pretty good Pinhead. Again, Doug Bradley is my favorite Pinhead. He will probably always be my favorite Pinhead. But Paul T. Taylor did a pretty good job playing Pinhead. The way he delivered his lines. He didn't try to completely rip off Doug Bradley. He was trying to do his own unique take on the dialogue. I thought the way the makeup looked in this movie looked pretty decent. Looked a lot better than Part 9. I thought his lines were a lot better than this movie. Pinhead wasn't really that annoying in this movie. He felt more intimidating in this movie, more serious. I even liked the way the costume design is on Pinhead. New costume, new look for Pinhead. I liked it. Overall, Pinhead in this movie is pretty solid. He's taken seriously. He's not really there a lot. That's my one complaint. I wish he was in the movie more, but for what he's in the movie, he's pretty good. He's a pretty good Pinhead. So Pinhead I thought was pretty good. I like the twists and turns of the movie. I like how it just got this crazy tone to it, and it's completely out of control. Very bizarre movie. Lots of interesting camera angles and techniques they use. The music choice, the way that hell looks, and how chaotic and bizarre the world of hell is in this movie, the new lore, the new backstory they add to this movie. I like how there's multiple boxes. There's not just one puzzle box, there's multiple ones. Because you begin to wonder over time, it's like, okay, the box shifts over here and here and here. How is this box going from Indebtor to Inferno and then Hellseeker? They're in all these different areas. How do they get there? And I guess you could say that maybe those homeless people who are demons in disguise, maybe they spread the box all over the world. But I like the idea of there being multiple puzzle boxes. Interesting. The way that the judgment process is done in Hell in this movie, I thought was pretty interesting. And I like how there's unique things to the character. Like this one guy gets brought to Hell, and instead of screaming and crying and asking where he's at, he's like, I'm in a place where I could either die or get really hurt, so let's get to the point. And even the demons are kind of like taken back by this. And you're kind of wondering, like, okay, this normal average Joe guy, how is he so calm? There's a reason for that, and we'll get it in a second. But yeah, before we get into the main twist of the movie, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give it probably a 6.5 out of 10. It's a pretty damn decent Hellraiser movie. I would put it up there with, like, it would go 3, 2, 1, probably 5, then this movie. I put this movie right up there with part 5. It's a surprising entry in the series. I didn't think I was going to like it at all. I was going into the movie completely like, oh, man, like, I just want to get these reviews over with. I'm not really feeling it. This is actually a really surprising Hellraiser movie. Again, you're either gonna like it or you're not gonna like it. It's very different from the other Hellraiser movies. Very different formula, feel, tone, music. Pinhead really, it's more about other things than Pinhead. It's multiple things going on in the story besides Pinhead, which I think would have made this movie awesome, and it would have been awesome if they did this. Okay, you want to have a detective story, you can do that. The whole killer idea, I thought, felt strayed away from Hellraiser. And this is where we're going to get into the problems real quick. But recapping the good things, the acting's decent, the characters are pretty decent for what they are, the pacing's pretty good, Pinhead in this movie is good, the guy who played him did a good job. The practical effects, I thought, were cool, and I appreciated that. They didn't have to do practical effects, because all the other Hellraiser, like, direct-to-DVD sequels did CGI. There's maybe a couple CGI shots in this movie. Most of it is practical. I appreciate that. Good practical effects. Really, really gory movie. Very vicious movie. Feels more Pinhead than, like, anything after Part 5. I would say it feels more, but I will admit, it still kind of strays into that category where it's trying to be another movie, but Pinhead's in there, and we'll get in a second. But yeah, good music, good tone, good direction, very, very surprising good things in this movie. As far as problems go, I do think this movie would have been a lot better if it focused more on the Pinhead side of things. If it would have taken place, like, you have the cops, they're investigating these murders, and you could have it be the murders of the boxes. Like, these boxes that are being spread out, people are getting murdered, and they trace it back to the house. And they go in there, and they're in this house in hell. And they're basically going, like, room to room, and every room is a different, maybe, sin that they have committed, or maybe a different way of judgment. And they gotta escape hell, they find Pinhead. You could do all this cool stuff and have it be the main focus of the movie. Because the best parts of this movie, even though it is a good movie, the best parts are when it's in the hell atmosphere, and it's in that hell world. Get there, hell world. But when it's in hell, it's in that creepy house, and it's in that atmosphere and setting and direction, that to me is the best parts of the movie. Just because of how crazy it is when it gets to those parts. But yeah, I do feel like it strayed a little bit far away from Hellraiser. I wish it was more about Pinhead and Hellraiser. The twist to me wasn't surprising at all. I seen it coming a mile away. they kind of spoiled it because the killer quotes stuff from the Bible and quotes stuff from, these old writers and stuff like that. And spoiler alert, so if you don't want to hear this, click off now, but if you don't care, then keep listening. Spoiler alert, the brother to one of the detectives, like one of the brothers, is the killer. And I kind of expected that. Like, it's not really surprising. When you're watching this movie, you kind of expect it because they're both quoting the same things. So I was like, yeah, he's the killer because they're both quoting the same thing. Like, it was really obvious. And the same ending of Hellraiser Revelations is this movie's ending. Pinhead gets summoned. The guy goes, hey, I want to make a deal. Pinhead says no, kills the others in the room, and it kills the guy. And then, they're about to kill him, and then the angel chick shows up, the divine chick. She shows up and is like, no, he's serving us on Earth. We must keep him alive. And he gets spared, only to get killed right after. But pretty much the same ending as Hellraiser Revelation, except for the guy didn't get rung to hell, but he got chained up, and I want to make a deal. I want to make a trade for their souls for mine, and Pinhead says no and chains him up, just like Hellraiser Revelation. So the ending was a little rocky. I know there's more problems. Again, I just think that this movie's big problem is it strayed away from Hellraiser, and it could have been more Hellraiser than it was. I wish it was more about Pinhead, more about Hellraiser, more about the puzzle box, more about the lore that they were establishing in this movie. A big chunk of it is detectives and reminded me of Hellraiser Inferno a little bit. But overall, I think it's a really, really solid direct-to-video Hellraiser movie. I think even if it was direct-to-video, I think it's a solid, like Inferno. It's a very surprising, very solid Hellraiser movie that I had some issues with, but overall I thought was a pretty good movie overall. Very surprising flick, very different flick. I must stress that's a very different flick from the other Hellraiser movies. It's unique, it's different, different style, different direction, different feel, different tone. You might like it, you might not. Just give it a chance and, see how it goes. But yeah, Hellraiser Judgment, I'm going to give it a 6.5. Not a bad movie at all. It's a quick watch, it's interesting, it's unique, it's different, it's gory, it's bizarre. Very interesting entry in the Hellraiser series. It's 6.5 out of 10 for me. And that'll do it for the Hellraiser reviews, guys. I can't believe we've already made it to the end of the series. It's 10 movies, guys. 10 reviews. Pat myself in the back for that. But a little bit of a longer review. Sorry about that. But I want to take the end of this review to just say thank you to you guys. I appreciate all the support on these videos and reviews. They were really successful. A lot of people have been watching them and liking and commenting. I appreciate that. Your guys' support keeps me going. I've been doing this channel for a minute now, and your guys' support really does mean a lot to me, and I really, really can't stress how much I appreciate everything that you guys do. But yeah, that'll be it for the Hellraiser movies. It was a lot of fun. It was pretty fun. Not as torturous as I thought it would be, because it didn't really get horrible until the very end. Like Hellworld and Deader and Hellseeker and Revelation. Like, that was really rough. But overall, a lot of fun revisiting Hellraiser again. And I can't thank you guys enough for watching. But anyways, yeah, that'll do it for Hellraiser. We conquered Hellraiser. We made it through, guys. We did it. We are one. We are one. The Nexus theme song there for the celebration music. But, yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the reviews. I appreciate all of your guys' support. Hellraiser franchise is done for now, until they make some more. But anyways, thanks so much for watching the reviews, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good night. And, yeah, I'll see you guys later. Peace.